Well, the 14-year-old Melbourne teen who was the victim of a brutal kidnapping has now come out of a coma and is in a stable condition. It comes as the accused, another teen, faced 30 charges at the Children's Court yesterday. Now, it's understood the teenage gang member was out on bail at the time. The brazen attack has rocked Melbourne, with residents in the city's southeast too afraid to leave their homes. It's also prompted an increased police presence around schools in the area. Criminologist and former Queensland police officer Terry Goldsworthy joins us now. Morning to you, Terry. Thanks for being with us. Just on this latest attack, just so very concerning for society as a whole, for the parents, for other kids. What do we think the motivation is in an attack like this?
Yeah, look, from the reports I've seen, it would seem to be a robbery. There doesn't seem to be any mention it was a targeted attack and that there was a relationship between the offender or the victim, which makes it more concerning. I see there was some mention of other alleged incidents involving at least one of the individuals involved and some other members. But look, it seems to be a gang issue that's occurring down there in Melbourne. I think the police listed about 40 plus gangs, with some 600 youth who may be involved in them. So it seems to be a gang-related issue in terms of this particular incident. But certainly youth offending in general in Victoria has risen sharply in the last 12-month period, with a 21% increase in youth offender incidents.
I mean, that's huge. Why do you think that that's the case?
Look, I think it's a couple of issues. One is that crime has increased generally since COVID across most states in Australia. For instance, Victoria had a 3.5% increase in general crime. Queensland was much worse. We had about 11% increase in our crime. New South Wales was in the middle. What you're seeing inside that, though, is large increases in youth offending. We had a 14% increase in youth offending in Queensland, and New South Wales had, I think, 11% increase in youth court appearances. So youth offending is a big component of that general crime increase. In Queensland, for instance, youth offenders only account for 18% of all offenders, but they're responsible for 50% or more of robberies, stolen vehicles and break-and-enters, those violent type offences. So it is a problem that I think many states, Queensland has certainly experienced it for some time now. I think the other states are heading the same way.
They're disconnected. It seems near impossible to get through to them. What do you see is the answer here? Because even if they go off to some youth detention, they're going to get out again.
Yeah, that's right. Look, there's two issues here. One is a short-term offending cycle where community protection is important. You must protect the community from injury and harm. And that means you may need to detain some of these hardcore youth offenders. And we are only talking about the hardcore offenders. We're not talking about somebody who does a shoplifter, etc. Then the long-term offending cycle, you need to have those rehabilitation programs in place, because you're quite correct. And we've seen some data up here where our youth detention centres are short-staffed, they're chronically failing in terms of rehabilitation programs, and the reoffending rate for kids who go in there and go out is somewhere in excess of 90%. So if you want to stop this, you need to do both ends of the equation. One, stop short-term offending, and that means strict bail laws or whatever you need to do. And at the other end, you need to ensure that you're engaging with the youth to address the multifactorial causations of their offending. Yeah,
let's talk about that end a little bit more. What do you see needs to happen before this starts?
Well, look, I think we know why these kids fall off the rails. It's, in Queensland, 38% of youth offenders have engaged in the use of methamphetamine. So drug use is problematic. There's DV in the house. There's a lack of engagement in terms of education, a lack of skills for employment. So you really need programs that will target those causations and then give these kids a chance at becoming a useful member of society. There will be a certain percentage that will go on to be career criminals. You just won't be able to help that small percentage. But overwhelmingly, you can probably turn most of these kids around. But it's expensive and it takes time. And those are the two issues that governments